Dear friends, this is Aditya Sharma again. This is my third video in this 1 week's time. I've been getting very encouraging emails and phones from all the viewers. And as per the request of my viewers, today I'm going to discuss about the relationship. Relationship is basically an association between two people, which can be of same sex and opposite sex. But today I'm going to talk about relationship between opposite sex people, which can be a great friendship, which is a kind of marriage, which is like a life partner. It can be any kind of association. There have been numerous books, videos, audios, YouTube, TV programs, where everything has been informed regarding the relationship. And most of the information what we have received through books, through lectures, through college, there, the primary concern has been on the seventh house and the D9 numbers chart. As per the old traditional system, especially in India, the marriage decision is taken on the compatibility chart of would-be groom and wife. There's a set procedure where they check 9 ingredients, basically. But main thing is based only on 8 points. And 8 points have been assigned number 1 to 8, so the total comes to 36. If the compatibility numbers between the horoscopes is 18 and above, then they okay it for marriage. As per the traditional practice, the compatibility chart, if it has more than 18, more than 24, or more than 30s, the higher the number, the better is the compatibility. This is what they assess. And this tradition has been regularly being followed even as on date also. But again, I'm contradicting this view because things keep on changing with the time and the generation. All these points, all these things which have been reflected in the books, they were made years and years ago, centuries ago. But today the customs and the requirement is entirely different. And again, it varies from country to country, continent to continent, even in a country, place to place. Then it depends basically on the background, the religion, and most importantly today is the economic condition. Last 20 years, I have done so many compatibility charts, but I have seen in more than 60% cases where the compatibility chart had shown very good compatibility, like the points were above 24 and 28. But still, there were many other factors because of which I had rejected the compatibility. And in few cases, people had consulted other astrologers and the desired couple, they went for marriage. And later on, I have been consulted by those people again. The marriage didn't work out. It is not that I'm taking any kind of privilege or any kind of any kind of favoritism, that I had forecasted something, which came out true. In astrology, we should never do that. And as far as I'm concerned, I never do that. I hate to do those kind of things that I want to discuss what I predicted came true. There should not be anything like this ever in astrology because it is only the God who decides. As an astrologer, we are always there to give indications. These are the only indications. So I would request all my viewers to keep in mind that whatever astrological studies you get through any astrologer, this is all the indications. But you are the one who has to decide everything. You should be intelligent enough to look forward what is good, what is bad. So coming back to the point of compatibility, you see, first of all, we want to see, how we get inclined. how we get inclined to other sex, like how male gets inclined towards female, female gets inclined toward male, and how is the beginning. If you look back, as soon as one gets teenager, 13 years, 13 years to 16 years is a very crucial age. This is an age when somebody is just going to drown into relationship. And at the time, if the direction of the planets, those are covering your mind, they're also like that. Suppose Rahu is in the Mahadasha or Saturn is in the Mahadasha, they will compel your mind to go for it without thinking the consequences. And sometimes I found, even the kids, 15, 16 years old, even they have gone for marriages also because they got so much involved in the friendship that ultimately they had to go for marriage and the consequences had been really worse. So the teenage, when we have to study horoscope for any teenager, we have to consider a lot of things in that because that's a very vulnerable situation of everybody's life. Any bad decision taken at that time has long-lasting consequences in the life of a person. So here we study, because here that formula don't work out, seeing the compatibility. Here we have to study what is the main directional planet in the life of the native. And what is the IQ level of that person? What is his background? What culture he or she is coming from? Which country is the background? What religion is the background? And what is the education the individual is acquiring now? Once we get that idea, then we have a frame about that person, that what he or she should be. Then the next thing we study is the fifth house. Fifth house plays the major role because fifth house is the house of emotions. If the fifth house is weak, fifth house lord is weak, and one is going through the teenage phase, then it is almost 90% that teenager will get involved into any kind of friendship or association because he drags himself into that kind of thing, that kind of situation. But if at that time the direction of good planets are there, like Jupiter, Sun, then one is not so much inclined towards companionship, friendship, or relationship. But still, one has in the mind to have some kind of friendship or companionship. After 18 years, after 19 years, when the teenage is over, by that time, the native is almost going to study higher, maybe in the college, or maybe some kind of course, professional course or something. So that is the time one just goes into a new environment, which is very free. And there one is very vulnerable for companionship, friendship, and relationship. The consequences of bad decision taken at that time can again ruin the life of a person, basically for two reasons. Number one is compelled to give up the career his or she is aspiring for. I mean, there can be break in the education. Number two, if the friendship falls apart, one person, anyone at that time is very, very emotionally attached. And that bad experience, he or she carries for a long, long time and decides not to go for any kind of other serious friendship. Or even don't get married. Or one takes this as an experience and gets exploited. He takes life very differently. For him, there is no value of friendship, companionship, or relationship. As an astrologer, when we get details, when we get the birth data of a person who is in that age bracket, 20 to 30, we have to judge it very, very minutely and see, again, what kind of planets are in the direction. with the Gochar movement. What are the planets which are influencing mind of a native? One thing I would like to add always is there are four situations which we study very minutely. Number one to begin with is the Lagna. Lagna, as I told in my previous video also, is like the engine of the train. The forceful is the Lagna, the better is the personality of a person. Then we see the position of the moon, because whatever Rashi moon is placed, the mind works according to that Rashi. If it is fiery Rashi, one is aggressive. If it is earthy Rashi, one is silent and thinker. If it is airy Rashi, one is showy. If it is watery Rashi, one is very secretive, so he or she would not leak out what he is thinking about anything, especially the relationship part. Above all, the most important thing we study is the fifth house, because fifth house is the house of emotion. Fifth house lord and fifth house position indicates how what gets involved into friendship and what kind of friendship he or she can get involved into. Is it going to be short term, long term, healthy or unhealthy? What can be the consequences? So we study all those things, and based on this we find out where an individual is going. There is a natural attachment with opposite sex people. That's quite obvious with everyone at every age. But a decision taken at early age, if it is bad, can ruin the life of a native. I've seen in many cases, you can also read in newspapers, especially in third world countries, people commit suicide because of failure in the friendship. So to avoid all these things in those countries, people consult astrologer and they want to see, how the life of a youngster seen for his or her future, especially from the point of view of his marriage and all that. So in those countries, they try to match the horoscope of boy and girl, and they set formula of 8 points, which add up gives 36 points in total. If their points matched are above 18, they say, okay, compatibility is good. Even above 24, 28, they say it is very good. Again, I would like to stress that I have seen many failures in these kind of matching results. So coming back to the age bracket, 20 to 30 is very vulnerable because that is the foundation of married life. If one gets married in those years, especially in the last leg, like between 25 to 30, and if one gets a good partner, then the life is very good. But if one don't get married by 30 years, then it becomes very, very difficult, because then after 30 years, one gets very mature. When one gets very mature, they look for a mature partner, and there two major factors play a role. One thing is the professional success of the individual. I'm talking about very practical life now. And an astrologer, we have to see those age brackets, and accordingly we have to work out. Suppose there is a girl who's a PhD or who's an MTech or something, and she's very well placed in professional life. And obviously, to make that kind of career, she has to sacrifice her personal life. So by the time she reaches the zenith of her career, she's above 30 years. Now at that time, if she decides to have a companion, life companion, first thing is that she will not go for the arranged marriage because she is too independent, highly qualified. Secondly, it becomes very difficult to find an equally good groom, because the other person, like male, at that age bracket, because obviously it is considered that the male should be at least 2 to 3 years older than the female. So obviously, if a girl is about 30, 32, the male has to be 35 plus, or at least 32 or 33. If he is equally competitive in professional life, he would have already got married, or he would have different vision. He would look for a much younger wife. That's how the psychology plays role. A lot of people don't agree with my view, but I'm talking all my views based on my practical experience of 20 years. And astrologer, we have to check everything very sincerely and honestly. We are not doing anything to please anyone. We have to be very blunt and honest. And I'm speaking everything with my experience, which I don't stamp that it is 100% right. But whatever experience I have, I'm speaking that on this video for all of you. So 30 and above, we have to take into consideration two major factors. We have to see the professional success, and we have to see, how the future direction of the planets of the couple are going to come. If they are going to be good, they can have very happy married life. But on the other hand, if the direction in the life of any one of them is really bad, if Shani Saraswati is in force, we see force it's coming in next 2, 3, or 5 years, then it can really ruin their life, because by that time they are so mature that they are not going to accommodate. They are not going to listen to advice from anyone, because they're hyped, because they are so senior in their professional career that they will not go to any astrologer because they think they are the wisest. And of course, if they have acquired professional success, they are definitely brainy. But even if we look astrologically, if we analyze the personality of a person, one is not genius in all walks of life. A guy is brilliant, maybe he's brilliant in his studies. He may not be so good in relationship. He may not be bold enough. He may not be courageous. So just looking into planets in a horoscope in the birth chart and saying, okay, this guy is very brilliant and he's got everything. No, it's not like that. We have to see what kind of role he is going to play for marriage and companionship. His brilliant is something very different. But as far as the companionship and relationship is concerned, we have to see, we have to analyze his mind for that specific purpose only. So when we are looking into that thing, we have to see, first of all, how is his moon position? That means what is his mind thinking about? But better than moon is the position of Mercury, which I have always observed while scrutinizing every horoscope. Because moon makes you think, I want to have a car. Okay? Whereas Mercury, he goes further. He says, I want to have a red car. I want to have a car within this price bracket. I want an economical car. And I want to pay for this car like this. So he's manipulative. He can see the consequences. Then comes the role of Jupiter. Jupiter is the one who is a judge. Jupiter takes the views of both Moon and Mercury. Jupiter says, okay, you say you want to buy a car. Mercury, you say you want to buy a car which should be $35,000 to $40,000 worth, and this is how you want to pay. But Jupiter takes a decision whether this is a time for you to buy a car or not. Same way astrology plays a role. The astrologer is able to say whether this friendship which you want to go through will sustain or not. He sees the future, because everything now is dependent on the future. When you are in the age bracket between 30 to 45, you cannot take chances again and again. That is the situation for do or die situation. It is not necessarily for everyone, but it is applicable in more than 90% cases. And if you take spontaneous decision in a hurry and you go for companionship and relationship, then it leaves behind its stamps, bad stamps on you. Because for society, living in a society, you have to live together, but you're not happy. When you're not happy, it is going to affect your health. It is going to affect your married life, your home environment, and ultimately it will take toll on your profession and your health drastically. When all this starts happening, then one starts wondering, why this is happening in my life. I've been so brilliant. I have acquired so much high education, a best career, and this, but what for I did all this? What for I been so brilliant? What for I acquired so much professional success? When the time to reap benefit it has come, and ultimately for every individual, it is the family. It is the family and the kids, and your shows are stunning. So why then one thinks, why I did so much labor in my life when I had to see this. So it is basically because of the wrong decision. So that's why I've seen most of people who have been consulting astrologers, and astrologers have been guiding them pretty well. This is what you can do, this is what you should not do. And then they check a lot of things. They check misfortune, if there is any misfortune in any of the partner's horoscope. He has to point it out so that they are well aware, this is what can happen in their life. So if they are mentally prepared right in the beginning, this is which is going to come in their life, like health issue, financial issue, family issue, anything. Since they are matured enough, they are prepared for it. So it is something like that. There's a forecast for snow. But yes, snow nobody can stop. But only thing is that you can take decision. You can avoid going in the snow, or you can complete your work before there's a snowfall. If there's a snowfall, you go prepared outside. So you are not affected adversely so much because you were aware for it. But if this happens all of a sudden, you are caught, then you have to feel the brunt of it. So 30 to 45 is the most crucial age, and this is the age bracket horoscope which I have mostly done in my life. And in this analysis, I've seen all the factors which we read in books and videos, see in videos and YouTubes, they don't work out. We have to be very realistic with the place, with the social status of a person, with his professional level, and all those things. And when we consider all these factors and able to decide whether the two people should go for long-term relationship, maybe marriage, then what they should do. After 45 is the utmost crucial stage. If one remains bachelor till that time, or has experienced bad marriage, or because of any misfortune, the life partner is not with them, then that is the age when they start feeling a life partner, because by that time they are on the zenith of their professional career, and they have almost fulfilled the parents' responsibilities also. So they are left with only one aim, because they have done everything else, is to have a long-term association with anyone, which can be a permanent relationship, which can be converted into marriage, or living together throughout their life. At that stage, the horoscope analysis is entirely different. There, the main factor of what I study is the health part. Health is the most important thing. If any one of the partner is going to have any chronic disease, then it is not going to work out. So my main stress is on the health part of the two parties. That we assess, how the future planets are going to play a role in their life, especially for their health. Plus any kind of misfortune that may come into their life, which can ruin them. So, my dear friends, I have explained, how I have categorized the compatibility, companionship, relationship issue into 4 categories. And for all the 4 categories, the horoscope analysis is entirely different. So I really thank you all for watching my videos. And if you have any kind of comments for me, you can leave on this video, or you can write on my website, which is www.manhattanastrologers.com. Once again, thank you for your patience watching my videos and hearing my views. Thank you once again, and God bless.